I've got 2 jars here. This one I bought this spring, local honey, of a fella down the road, and it's clear as amber and it pours. This one was Paul's, and there's a date wrote on the lid in pencil in his hand. 1974. Look at it. Gone solid. White and grainy clear through, and it don't pour at all. I carried a jar like that to the trash one time when I was a boy, and Pa took it out of my hand before I got to the door and set it in a pan of warm water on the back of the stove and never said a word about it till evening. It ain't ruined, he said. It's just cold. And it come back, clear as this new one, and it poured the same. 51 years in that cellar, and it never turned. And there's a reason, and it's the same reason for near everything on this list. Here's the twist. Number 15 will stain your hands the color of a saddle for a solid month, and Paul drove the truck over a sack of them on purpose, and I'll tell you why. Number 12 makes its own medicine right there in the jar, and there's a famous story about it I've got to set you straight on before somebody repeats it to me again. And number 1 is not a food at all. It's the thing that told you the rest of it was still good, and there is not a date stamp on earth that does what it did. 20 foods that sat in a mountain cellar and did not go bad. What they were, why they kept, and the one way each of them turns on you anyhow. Hit subscribe. Let's count them down. Number 20. Whole corn on the ear. The crib out back held corn on the ear all winter, and some of it 2 and 3 years, and the second year was as good as the first. Ground meal is a different animal, and this is the thing people have backwards. Break open the kernel and you've broke open the germ, and the germ has got the oil in it, and oil goes. That's why a store meal has the germ took out of it entirely, and why it don't taste like anything. So you keep it whole and grind what you want for the week. Mow ground of a Saturday morning, and the house smelled like it till dinner. The failure is damp, corn that goes in wet molds on the ear and heats, and a heated crib will take fire on its own with nobody near it. Dry when it goes in, air moving through it. Number 19. Dried beans in a stone crock. Every fall there were beans shelled out and dried and poured into a crock with a lid, and they sat in that cellar, and nothing ever happened to them. Nothing can live on them. There's not water enough left in a dried bean for a mold to get any purchase, and that's the whole of it. Same as the jerky, but an old bean gets hard. Past 3 or 4 years, the coat sets up, and you can boil that bean till midnight, and there's still gravel in the middle of it. So the crock got turned every fall. New in the back, old to the front. Old ones first. Paul said, a bean don't get better waiting on you. Number 18. Salt. There was a salt box on the wall by the stove my whole boyhood, and I never once saw anybody wonder, was it still good? Salt's a rock. It don't rot because there's nothing in it to rot. It got laid down in a seabed alongside before anybody was here to dig it, and 40 years on a kitchen wall is not going to trouble it. The failure is damp. Salt pulls water out of the air, and a box left open in August goes to a lump. They kept a few grains of rice in it, and it works. Number 17. Sorghum. A gallon jug come off the pan in September and sat on the shelf and got poured on biscuits till the next September. It's the same thing that saves the honey. So much sugar in it and so little water that nothing can grow. The sugar pulls the water back out of anything that tries. It'll crystallize and go grainy at the bottom. Warm it. That's not a spoilage. Here's what does ruin a jug, and I know because I was in the room. Pop pulled a run of zero tin one year, and tin sorghum has water enough in it to work. That jug sat on the shelf above the stove, and about 2 in the morning it let go and took the lid with it. And there was sorghum on the ceiling and down the wall and in the floor, and my mother was still finding it in July. Thin syrup ferments, thick syrup keeps, and there was no telling which you had but by the sheet of the paddle. Number 16, vinegar with the mother in it. There was a crock of cider vinegar working in the corner of that cellar the whole of my childhood, with a pale rubbery raft floating on the top that any stranger would take for something gone wrong. That's the mother, and it's the reason the crock keeps. Vinegar don't spoil because it's already the end of the road. The sugar's ate, the alcohol's ate. What's left is acid strong enough that nothing else can live in it. They tell me it preserves itself, and that's a thing worth sitting with. It'll go cloudy and throw more mother, and neither one hurts it. What kills a crock is metal. The acid takes it up and you'll taste it. Glass, crock, or wood, and a wooden dipper hanging on a nail beside it. Number 15, black walnuts in the hull. Here's the one from the top. They come down in October in a green hull that has to come off, and that hull is full of a dye that'll turn your hands the color of a saddle for a solid month. Scrubbing don't touch it, you wait it out and you go to school like that. So Paul hauled them the lazy way, spread them in the driveway and drove the truck over them all week, and then raked them up and let the rain do the rest of it. In the shell, dry, up in the loft, they keep and keep. There's a shell around that nut that's near armor, and the air can't get at the oil inside it. Out of the shell is another matter. Cracked walnuts are done in weeds, and they'll take a taste like pain on you. Crack them when you want them, not before. Number 14, peppers on a string. There was a string of little red cayennes hanging by the kitchen window from September to spring, and part of that was that Ma thought it looked pretty, and part of it was supper. A pepper dries to almost nothing, and what it's got left, they tell me, is the thing that makes it hot. And the plant made that to fight off mold and bugs in the first place, so it's carrying its own protection. The failure is drying them shut up somewhere. A pepper with any dam left in the shoulder molds from the stem down, and one bad one takes its neighbors. Air on all sides, and the needle through the stem, never through the pod. Number 13, parched corn. Nobody eats this anymore, and it walked people across these mountains for 400 years. You take dried corn and parch it in a dry skillet till it swells and browns and smells like something between popcorn and coffee. Eat it as it is, or beat it to a mill and carry that. The parching drives out what water was left and toasts the outside besides, so it keeps better than the corn did going in. A poke of it in a coat pocket kept a man going all day cutting timber. Don't freeze, don't melt, don't spoil, don't want a thing done to it. Parch it too far and it's bitter, and there's no fixing that. Brown, not black, that's the field and the garden. From here down it's the sweet and the fat and the meat, and the two that kept a family alive when the rest of it ran out. If you keep a pantry at all, subscribe. I put one of these up every few days. Number 12, honey. Back to the jar from the top, and this is the one that beats everything else in this cellar, and it isn't closed. Three things going on in there, near as it's been explained to me. There's almost no water in it, so nothing can grow. It's acid more than you think to taste it. And the bee puts an enzyme in it that makes a small amount of the very thing that's in the brown bottle in your medicine cabinet. Hydrogen peroxide. Right there in the jar. The bee is preserving it before it ever reaches you. Now here's where I've got to set you straight, and I'd rather you heard it from me. You'll hear that they opened the Egyptian tombs and found honey in there thousands of years old and is still good, and it gets repeated everywhere, and I've had it told to me twice this year. I went looking for where that comes from, and it is a good deal thinner than people let on. Nobody can point me to the jar or the man who ate it, so I'll not stand here and sell it to you. What I've got is Paul's jar and his pencil on the lid and 51 years, and I watched it come back in the pan with my own eyes. That'll do me. Keep the lid tight, and that's the whole of the tending. Honey pulls water out of the air, and honey that's stuck on water will ferment on you. That's the one way a jar is lost. Number 11. Fatback in the salt box. The side meat of a hog went in a wooden box, covered over in salt, and set in the smokehouse and got cut off all winter. The salt pulls the water out and holds it out, and a thing with the water pulled out of it can rot. That's the whole lesson in one sentence. That was the seasoning for the year. A piece in the beans, a piece in the greens, a piece in the leather breeches. The meat wasn't the meal, it was what made the meal taste like anything. Packing that box was mine and my brother's job, and I'll tell you what nobody mentions. Salt finds every crack in a boy's hands, and it burns for 2 days after. There's no glove that helps because you can't feel the meat through one. The failure is a warm November. Salt has to strike before the meat turns, and it can't do that at 60 degrees. Gold first, then salt. Number 10. Dried mushrooms on a thread. Come April, there were morels, and what didn't get ate that week got run onto a thread with a needle and hung over the stove. A dried morel is a piece of paper, nothing in it left to ward on. It'll set in a jar for years and come back with an hour in warm water. And soak it back, they've got more taste than they had fresh, not less. The soaking water's the good part besides, and it don't get poured out. It goes in the pot. The failure is one that's thick and only mostly dry. It'll mold in the dark in the jar and take the whole jar with it. Snap dry or don't put it up. Number 9. Apple butter. The kettle come out in October and it took the better part of a day, and somebody stirred it the whole time with a long wooden paddle and did not quit, because apple butter scorches the second you stop. You cook cider and apples down and down till near half the water's gone out of it, and what's left is sugar and acid and not water enough for anything to live in. Then it goes in the jars hot. It kept the year, and it went on biscuits every morning of the winter. One honest word on it. They cooked it in a copper kettle, and apple butter is acid, and acid sits on copper and takes some of it up. They did not know that. We do. Enamel or stainless. Keep the copper on the wall where it looks good. Number 8. Rendered tallow. Everybody knows about lard. Fewer know the beef fat gets better than the hog fat does, and it isn't close. Tallow's harder, and the way it's been put to me, it's the softer fats that turn first. Rendered clean and strained and kept cold and dark, tallow goes years where lard is thinking about it inside of one. Poe kept it in a crocked down cellar and used it for frying and for boots and for a lamb when he had to, low and slow rendering it. And strain while it's hot. Get it too hot and it browns and takes a taste and it will not keep. And a lid on it. It's air that turned the fat, not time. Number 7. The tea shelf. There was a shelf of roots and leaves in paper pokes, and it was the doctor and the coffee both. Mint, catnip, yellow root, sassafras, dug in the fall when the strength goes down into the root, washed, split, dried hard. Dry root keeps years in a paper poke. Sassafras was the spring tonic, and the whole family drank it. And I'll be straight with you on that one because I'll not hand you something I wouldn't hand my own boy. The thing in it that gives that root beer smell is called saffrole, and the government pulled it out of commercial food and drink back in 1960 over cancer findings in animals. The root bark is where it's strongest. Mint and yellow root, keep them and use them. Sassafras, know it as history. Number 6. A country ham in the smokehouse. A whole ham went in salt and brown sugar and pepper after the hog killing and laid in it 6 weeks. Then 30 days of hickory smoke. Then it hung a full year before anybody caught it. And then it hung there and got cut off of in the air. No ice, no power. Another year past that. The salt took the water out. The smoke laid a film over the outside. The aging done the rest. There's ham hung in this county that outlived the man that cured it. It grows a coat of white and green on the outside, and that is supposed to happen. You wipe it with a rag and a little vinegar and cut on. You check a ham at the bone, and there's no other way that works. You slide a thin knife in by the joint and draw it out and smell the blade. Paul put the knife in my hand when I was about 11, and I drew it out and smelled it and told him it smelled like nothing. Smell it again, he said. You're smelling the knife. And I done it again, and there it was, and I have never once since had to be told what I was smelling. The failure is heat. Between 36 and 40 degrees, the whole 6 weeks of the cure, or the middle spoils before the salt ever reaches it. The last 5 keep the longest of anything in this video, and the last one you cannot put in a jar. Number 5. Whole wheat and rye in a tight barrel. A barrel of whole grain, dry and cool and shut up, is about the longest keeping food a family ever had. Whole kernel, and it'll go on and still grind and still sprout. Whole. Same rule as the corn. The germ oil safe inside the kernel and ruin it the day you break it. Now you'll hear they found wheat in the pyramids and planted it and it come up. It's a good story and it isn't true. That got going in the 1800s and there were men selling seed on the back of it. And it's been tested since, and tomb wheat does not sprout. The real number is still longer than anything else in this cellar, and it don't need a lie on top of it. The buds come in the sack already, as eggs you can't see. 4 days in a deep freeze first, and they never hatch. Number 4. Sugar. A sack of sugar has got nothing in it that can spoil. It's one substance, and it's already dry. Same reason as the salt. It was dear, and that's the part that's hard to get across now. It come in by the sack and went in a crock with a tight lid, and it got measured out for the cake and the canning and the coffee and nothing else. It'll set up into a brick if the air gets to it, and you do not throw that out. A slice of apple or a damp cloth over the crock overnight and it comes loose. Airtight and dry. Number 3. Fruit put up in liquor. Peaches and cherries went in a crock with sugar and enough brandy over the top to cover, and the lid went on and they said, alcohol above a certain strength stops everything. No mold, no yeast, no bacteria. The sugar held besides. It's the oldest way there is to keep a soft fruit that won't can and won't dry. Come Christmas, that crock got open, and it was the only fresh-tasting sweet thing anybody had seen since August. Some families kept one going for years, adding fruit and sugar and liquor as it come in season, and never once emptying it out. The one law is the fruit stays under the liquid. A peach that bobs up into the air will mold, and the mold takes the crock under, always. Number 2, the seed. There was a jar of seed corn on a shelf in that cellar, and it was not food. You did not eat it. There were winters we were thin, and you did not eat it. I asked about it one time, being a boy and hungry, and not knowing better. That corn ain't food, Paul said. That's next year. A bushel feeds you once. A jar feeds you every year there is, and the year after that. And it don't stop as long as somebody's putting it in the ground. My people grew a white field corn that come down through my grandmother's family, and Paul saved back the best years every fall and shelled them off and put them up dry with the lid setting loose. The rule is you save from the best and you save every single year, because a jar left setting is a jar that quits. I've still got it. My boy Jack put it in the ground this April, and that's the 81st year it's gone in. Number 1. Knowing when a thing has gone off. There was not a date on one single item in that cellar. Not one. Not a stamp, not a label, not a use by. And nobody in that house ever ate anything bad. Because Ma could walk down those steps and tell you. She'd pull the cloth off a crock and put her face down in it and know. And it wasn't a guess. Sour that's supposed to be sour smells one way. Sour that's gone wrong smells another. And there's no confusing the two once you've had your nose in 100 crops. She knew a jar hadn't sealed by the sound of the lid under her fingernail. She knew tallow was turning before you could taste it in the pan. She knew a ham at the bone. I asked her one time how she could be certain, and she looked at me like I'd asked how she knew it was raining. If you have to wonder, she said, you already know, and that's what a date stamp is. It's a guess a stranger made about your food in a building 400 miles from here, and it's a guess made careful and low so nobody sues anybody. It is not knowledge about the thing in your hand. Now I got a piece of it and not the whole, and I want to be exact about which piece, because that's the part worth knowing. I can smell a ham at the bone and tell you yes or no. She stood me in front of enough of them that it took. I never got the crocs. She could walk past a crock without stopping and tell you it wanted tending. And I have put my face down in that same crock and stood there and not known a thing. I'd have had to start younger. And I'd have had to have her mother too. I can tell you to smell it. I cannot give you the 60 years of smelling that told her what she was smelling. She got that standing in a cellar next to her own mother, and it went in the ground with her, and that's the part that actually dies, not the beans. We can get beans. Here's my challenge. Pick one and go do it. Set a jar of honey that's gone solid in a pan of warm water instead of carrying it to the trash and watch it come back. Turn your beans so the old ones are in front where you'll use them first. Or take a brick of hard sugar and lay a damp cloth over the crock overnight and find out it was never ruined at all. Then tell me in the comments, and I want a specific thing. What did your people keep that never had a date on it? And how did they know it was still good? Was it the nose, the sound of the lid, the feel of it in the hand? Whose cellar was it and what county was it in? I want to get some of it down before it's gone, because that's the whole reason for this. None of it was ever written. It lived in one woman's nose at a time, and it died with her every time, over and over, all up and down these mountains, and most of it is gone now and not coming back. They knew. Now it's written.